Jesus summarizes all the commandments in one word: love. This word that we use so much that it has actually lost its meaning. In response to a question asked by a scribe, Jesus put together the love of God and the love of neighbor, quoting from Deuteronomy and Leviticus. In Jesus' time, teachers studied the law that is fundamental to the life of the Jewish people. Though God gave 10 commandments to Moses, over the years it has been enlarged, if I will use that word. So by the time of Jesus, they had like more than 600 precepts. And so it becomes difficult for people to memorize all this law and follow the law to the letter. And so it is customary for people to ask teachers to give a summary of certain laws about specific activities or aspects of life. This will help them along in their attempt to be faithful to the law. And so here, ask about the greatest commandment. Jesus speaks of love, the solid foundation of and the motivation for life. Love. So much missing in our world today, in our society. These days, when you watch the news or even read the news, you see so much hatred, so much division. Through Jesus' explanation, we know that love has 3 dimensions: love of God, love of neighbor, and love of self. Each one is intimately linked to the other 2. Love of God should be unconditional, should be undivided. Our love of God should go beyond sentimental. It's kind of nice to wake up in the morning and say, "Oh God, I love you." But God wants more than that. He wants our love for him to be concrete. In the Gospel of St. John, Jesus says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandment." Our love of God should embrace our whole being, our heart, soul, mind, and strength. If you love me, you will keep my commandment. And that actually makes sense, because even in our human relationship, the people that we love, we try to please them. And sometimes it's difficult, but we still do it. We don't want to offend them. We don't want the relationship to break. If you truly love, because these days it's unfortunate to even find true love. But for the people that we truly love, my own understanding of love is that the people I love, I try to do what pleases them out of love. And our relationship with God should be the same. Because we love him, we keep his commandment, we try to please him. You know, they say that the best advertisement in drawing others to follow the Lord and to know the Lord is by living out the commandments, especially the commandment of love. Because our actions really do speak louder than words. Our love of God should flow, overflow to our neighbor. I don't know who said that, whether it's St. John or St. Paul. He said, I think it's St. John, I'm not sure. But somewhere in the Bible, in the New Testament, he said, how can you claim to love God that you don't see if you fail to love your neighbor that you see? So our love for God must flow to people around us, people that we meet, even strangers. Concerning the love of neighbor, St. Paul saying the same thing as Jesus in our gospel reading today. In his epistle to the Romans, he said, he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. The commandment, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandments are summed up in this sentence: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Love is the fulfillment of every law. Our love of neighbors should be all-inclusive. That love for neighbor must not discriminate against people because of race, religion, or their lifestyle. And love of self actually transforms to our love of neighbor, because if somebody does not like himself or herself, it will be kind of hard for that person to love people. Indeed, the measure of our self-love is also the measure for love of neighbor. You know, when people do horrible things, you begin to wonder, does this person hate himself so much that he or she has done this? And it boils down to all these sick people who do stupid stuff or do things that make you like, wow. Deep within them, they're like deep hole. They are suffering. Their self-hatred transformed to people around them. We cannot truly love our neighbor if we don't love ourselves. So, as we begin this 30th Sunday in ordinary time, this 30th week, I should say, let us think about what love really means. Because we use that word so much that I don't even know what it means anymore. Love of God, what it means to us. And love of neighbor. In the first epistle of St. John, he said, God is love. God is love. The God that we serve is a loving God, and this is a proof of his love for us. Love that is unconditional. St. John said, beloved, let us love one another because love is of God. Hatred, however small it is, cannot see God, because that's contrary to his nature. Everyone who loves is begotten by God and knows God.